Do you dream of living in Paris, the city of love? Or in London, a multicultural city full of opportunities? Living in these cities is a dream for many, but a nightmare for others. These and other cities hide downsides that their residents know all too well but are often overlooked by those planning to move there. Today, we'll uncover 10 major European cities where living there can feel like a scam. Of course, it's not literally a financial scam, but rather a discrepancy between the idealized image of these cities and the day-to-day reality. For this video, several factors were considered, such as crime, cost of living, and the real estate market. We're excited to hear your opinions and experiences. Welcome to this new video from Amazing Europe. Number 1, Paris. Paris, the city of love, luxury, and art, is often idealized as one of the most desirable destinations in the world. But the reality of living in the French capital can be very different from the romantic dream. Behind its dazzling facade lies a far more complex reality. The cost of living is one of the first shocks for those moving here. Real estate prices have skyrocketed over the past decade, exceeding national averages by more than 40%, making it almost impossible to find affordable accommodation. From groceries to rent, every aspect of daily life reflects one of the highest costs in Europe. It's no surprise that many Parisians chose to move to more livable areas after the pandemic. Crime is another plague in the city. Apartment thefts, vehicle thefts, and pickpocketing are particularly frequent in central areas. The one street arrondissement, home to the Louvre, is undoubtedly among the hardest hit. This climate contributes to a widespread sense of insecurity among residents and visitors. The legendary Parisian rudeness seems to be more than a stereotype, as confirmed by international studies proclaiming Paris the rudest city in the world. The phenomenon is so pronounced that there's even a specific diagnosis, Paris syndrome, which affects tourists when their romantic expectations clash with reality. Paradoxically, its tourist success is also a problem. With over 15 million annual visitors, the city suffers from overcrowding, exacerbating the stress for its residents and turning many areas into chaotic, stressful spaces. Number 2, Rome. Rome, the eternal city, promises dreams and wonders, but living in the capital can turn into a daily nightmare for many. Behind its historical glory lies a complex and often frustrating reality. The cost of living in Rome has been a problem rooted in history. Even in Julius Caesar's time, rents were 4 times higher than in the rest of Italy. Today, the situation hasn't improved. Rents in the historic center are prohibitive, worsened by the proliferation of B&Bs and short-term rentals, with over 27,000 authorized structures and at least 12,000 unlicensed ones. This phenomenon is emptying the historic center and creating safety and noise issues for residents. Public transportation is a true nightmare. Unreliable buses, perpetually crowded metros, and endless construction projects, like Metro Line C, which began in 2013 and is scheduled for completion in 2035, are just a few examples. The chaotic traffic makes moving around a heroic feat, and finding parking is a nightmare, with double-parked cars everywhere. Crime is another concern. Car thefts, pickpocketing, and a general sense of insecurity affect both residents and visitors. The city is also noisy, dirty, and poorly maintained, with slow and inefficient bureaucracy. Romans themselves have a love-hate relationship with their city, trapped between its eternal beauty and the daily struggles. For many, Rome is a dream that crumbles under the weight of reality. Number 3, Amsterdam. Amsterdam, the postcard-perfect city with its canals and bicycles, hides a very different reality for those who live there. Behind the idyllic image, Amsterdam can prove to be a real daily challenge. Mass tourism has invaded the city center, turning entire areas into crowded and chaotic spaces. Each year, the city welcomes millions of tourists, many drawn by the red light district and the coffee shops where they can freely consume certain drugs like cannabis, reinforcing Amsterdam's reputation as a city where anything goes. The result? Overcrowding that makes it difficult to navigate and enjoy the city, with the government trying to mitigate the issue by banning cruise ships by 2035. Bicycle theft is an endemic problem. Around 100,000 bicycles are stolen every year, often ending up in the canals. Finding housing is another Herculean task. The competitive real estate market forces many to live in temporary or shared accommodations. Additionally, rents are exorbitant, often driven up by the popularity of Airbnb, which has led many landlords to prefer short-term rentals. The weather doesn't help either. Frequent rain, grey skies, and very short winter days contribute to a melancholic atmosphere. To make matters worse, international studies have ranked Amsterdam as one of Europe's rudest cities, with both tourists and residents frequently complaining about impolite behavior. In short, living in Amsterdam means dealing with challenges that go far beyond the beauty of its postcards. A city that seems welcoming but, for many, turns out to be a trap. Number 4. Marseille. Behind its sunshine, sea, and unique cultural mix, Marseille is also the stage for an alarming level of crime. In 2023, the city recorded 49 homicides, surpassing even Naples. Many of these crimes are linked to drug trafficking, with gangs fighting over territory in the suburbs. Kidnappings, torture, and violence are no longer extraordinary events, and the lack of police presence fuels a sense of insecurity among residents. Marseille has been ranked as Europe's most dangerous city according to its inhabitants' perception. To make things worse, some of Marseille's streets are often covered in garbage. Regular strikes by sanitation workers leave piles of waste, while playgrounds turn into open dumps. Visitors frequently describe parts of the city as resembling a third-world market. Public transportation also leaves much to be desired. The city's 2 metro lines do not cover the entire area. Buses are always overcrowded, and the bike lanes are considered dangerous by many. Then there's the traffic, making Marseille one of Europe's most congested cities, with parking almost impossible to find. Despite its lively atmosphere and natural beauty, Marseille is a city that seems to push back against those who try to integrate. Dirt, crime, and daily struggles make it one of the toughest cities to live in, a place where Mediterranean dreams clash with a far more complicated reality. Number 5. Milan. Milan represents the Italian dream, but for many, it turns into a daily nightmare. It is the beating heart of the Italian economy, promising opportunities and success. But the reality, for those who live there, can be quite different. It is Italy's least safe city, with over 7,000 crimes per 100,000 inhabitants. Theft, robbery, and even sexual violence are common. It's not unusual to feel vulnerable in the streets of the fashion capital. The cost of living is simply outrageous. Renting a studio apartment can easily exceed €1,300 per month, a price unsustainable for those earning the average Italian salary of €1,700. Many young people are forced to live in scandalous conditions, with moldy apartments, broken furniture, and even combined bathroom kitchens. And it's not just about rent, everything costs more in Milan compared to the Italian average. The cost of living here is 25% higher than in Rome. As if that weren't enough, public transportation is unreliable. Cancelled trains, constant delays, and terrible traffic make commuting a challenge. For example, in 2021, an average of 50 trains were cancelled daily, and 17% of trains arriving in Milan were delayed by more than 5 minutes. These issues contribute to Milan being one of Europe's most congested cities. Lastly, many report that Milan fosters a toxic work culture that exhausts young people. Unpaid overtime, sky-high stress, and the illusion that living here is the only path to success create a challenging environment. Milan may appear to be the city of dreams, but for many, it's just a mirage that hides sacrifices and disappointments. Number 6. Barcelona. Barcelona, with its unique architecture, golden beaches, and vibrant culture, seems like the ideal place to live. But behind its postcard-perfect facade lies a much more complex reality. The cost of living is sky-high. Rents have increased by 68% over the last 10 years, driven by over-tourism and tens of thousands of short-term rental apartments. Many residents are forced to leave their neighborhoods, now unaffordable, and discontent has turned into protests against tourists, with increasingly tense incidents. Crime is a chronic issue. With 48 crimes per 1,000 inhabitants in 2024, Barcelona surpasses Madrid and ranks among Europe's most dangerous cities. Theft, robberies, and assaults are common occurrences. Repeat offenders are a significant problem. In fact, a small 2% of those arrested are responsible for over 22% of crimes. Traffic and filth worsen the quality of life. Endless hours of congestion and dirty streets make daily life stressful. Then there's the severe issue of illegal house occupations. Occupations in Catalonia have increased by 82% in 6 years, heavily concentrated in the metropolitan area of Barcelona. Many of those occupying homes are not needy families but problematic individuals using houses for drug trafficking and prostitution. Barcelona is also a socially divided city. A striking 78.8% of those arrested in Barcelona between January 2022 and December 2023 were foreigners, some linked to the Moroccan mafia. Illegal immigration is a contentious topic, fueling tensions and crime in the city. Barcelona enchants, but living there can be a nightmare disguised as a Mediterranean dream. Number 7. Frankfurt. Frankfurt, home to the European Central Bank, is a city of deep contradictions. In 2023, it recorded 115,000 crimes, equating to around 15,000 per 100,000 inhabitants. With this crime rate, it remains the most dangerous city in Germany. To tackle the drug crisis of the 90s, the Frankfurt Way was introduced. This approach allows drug addicts to use substances under medical supervision in designated facilities. While this strategy has reduced overdose deaths, it has created zones where drugs and prostitution are openly visible. The debate over its effectiveness continues, with many criticisms regarding its impact on the city's safety and image. The cost of living is another significant hurdle for residents. Rents are exorbitant, dining out is considered a luxury, and public transport weighs heavily on family budgets. Housing issues are further compounded by ongoing construction problems, with frequent delays and sudden building evacuations. Despite its position as a European financial hub and the apparent opportunities it offers, Frankfurt hides a complex urban reality characterized by high crime, unsustainable costs, and deteriorating urban areas. This duality between international prestige and social problems makes the city an emblem of the challenges modern metropolises face. Number 8. Brussels. Brussels, the beating heart of the European Union, hides a reality far removed from the grandeur of its European institutions. Living in this city might seem like a privilege, but many residents wonder if it's worth it. First, the traffic. Brussels ranks 5th in Europe and 10th worldwide for congestion. Covering just 10 kilometers can take up to 27 minutes. The high number of company cars and an inaccessible housing market contribute to unsustainable mobility, forcing commuters to waste hours daily in road chaos. In the European capital, the homelessness crisis is a visible social emergency. The number of homeless people has surged by 30% in 3 years, leaving thousands without shelter in the city. Social housing is equally dire, with dilapidated buildings, damp conditions, infestations, and long waiting lists for transfers. Residents feel abandoned by slow and underfunded institutions. Brussels is a multicultural city. In 2019, Mohammed was the most common name in Brussels, with Mohammed, spelled with 2 M's, ranking 3rd. While some appreciate the city's rich cultural diversity, others see a dirty, chaotic, and unsafe place. With 26 official mosques and many more unrecognized ones, debates over integration and radicalization remain heated. Brussels promises a dynamic and cosmopolitan life, but for many, the reality is traffic, decay, and disillusionment. A European capital that, for many, becomes an urban trap. Number 9. Naples. Naples, a city rich in history, culture, and traditions, hides a darker side that often deters those considering living there. Behind the breathtaking view of the Gulf and the vitality of its streets lie daily challenges that can turn the dream of living here into a real nightmare. In this city, crime is deeply entrenched. Naples is Italy's capital of organized crime, holding a grim record for mafia-related offenses, smuggling, and money laundering. While crime reports have decreased in recent years, a Neapolitan magistrate claims this is not due to a real drop in crime but rather the resignation of the inhabitants. There's a sort of resignation to enduring daily oppression. There's a submissive resignation to social evils. The rise of increasingly young and armed gangs, known as baby gangs, exacerbates the situation. Finding housing is a daunting task. Rents are exorbitant, often for poorly maintained apartments or without legal contracts. The boom in hit-and-run tourism is gradually transforming the city while also driving up housing costs. Naples is not known for its public transport quality. Getting around the city means dealing with an inefficient system. This is compounded by inadequate healthcare services, leaving many citizens without timely and quality care. Many residents complain about urban decay. Damaged roads, frequent flooding, and poor maintenance are just a few signs of chronic institutional inefficiency. The citizens, often resigned, struggle to envision a better future. Naples remains a wonderful and unique city, but for many, living here means surviving in a system that seems to work against them. Before revealing the 10th city, if you found this video informative, We kindly ask you to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell to enable all notifications so you won't miss any of our new videos about Europe. This action costs you nothing but would greatly help us spread our project. Thank you so much. Number 10. London. Behind its glittering lights and cosmopolitan aura, London hides a less appealing side, filled with daily challenges that make life in the capital an exhausting endeavor. For many, London is a nightmare of traffic and chaos. According to TomTom's analysis, the city has the most intense traffic in the world. Traveling just 10 kilometers takes an average of over 37 minutes. Traffic issues in London are nothing new. In 1661, politician and writer Samuel Pepys was stuck in traffic for an hour and a half. Perhaps because of this, Londoners don't seem particularly hospitable. The city ranks 9th among Europe's least friendly cities. Making friends with Londoners is perceived as nearly impossible by 42% of expats. With many millionaires and over 300,000 homeless people, inequality is glaringly obvious. Violence and sexual crimes dominate the statistics. London's crime rates are 5 times higher than cities like Warsaw or Budapest. Areas like Croydon or Tower Hamlets are described by residents as dangerous and dominated by criminal gangs. Living in London seems increasingly like a dream only for a select few. The average cost of living for a single person is estimated at €1,300. Rent prices have reached astronomical levels, with the average monthly cost of a studio apartment exceeding €2,600. The housing crisis leaves entire families at the mercy of an unsustainable market. London is undoubtedly a metropolis of great opportunities but also profound contrasts. For many, living here means confronting a system that seems to reward only those willing to sacrifice everything. Now it's your turn. Share in the comments where you're from, even if it's outside Europe, and what life is like in your city. We're curious to hear your experiences and your opinions about the cities we've described. If you know of other cities in similar situations, even outside Europe, let the community know by writing them in the comments. You can't fully understand this video without watching the one on the 10 most dangerous cities in Europe, which you'll find in the top right corner. That's all for this video. See you next time.